Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Finance for Founders, the podcast where we take a deep dive into entrepreneurial journeys of remarkable founders, uncovering the highs and the lows and the lessons learned along the way. Today, we're joined by Giuseppe Baidoo, the inspiring co-founder of Gusto Snack, a brand that redefines healthy snacking while taking food waste head on. From humble beginnings in the kitchen with simple dehydrators to landing on the shelves of Selfridges and WH Smith, Giuseppe has turned a bold idea into a thriving business. We'll explore the moment that shaped his journey, his passion for sustainability, the creative marketing campaigns that puts Gusto Snacks on the map, and the challenges he overcame as a minority founder in the world of startups. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or seasoned founder, this conversation is packed with insights you won't want to miss. So let's dive in. And once again, I want to take the opportunity to welcome Giuseppe. Giuseppe Baidoo, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And it's a pleasure to have you on with us today. One of the things that we do before we get into your interview is we have about 15 to 20 quick fire questions. And this is for our audience to get to know you a little bit. So when I ask you these questions, right, try your hardest to answer it within 5 seconds. Yeah? Are you ready? Fantastic. Tea or coffee?
Tea,
Night owl or early bird?
early bed,
Books or podcast?
book,
Introverts or extrovert?
introvert,
Favorite season?
summer,
Mountains or beaches?
beaches,
Are you more of a thinker or doer?
doer
Do you prefer working alone or in a team?
in a team,
Are you a planner or more spontaneous?
more spontaneous,
Do you prefer cooking at home or eating out?
cooking at home,
What's your favorite sport?
basketball,
What's your favorite team?
Laker.
Who is your most inspirational person?
Oh, wow. This is a tough one. I would say there is someone in my community that I really appreciate. It's called Sean. It's someone who really helped me to be the entrepreneur that I am.
Fantastic. What's your go-to comfort food?
I would say probably fried chicken,
Excellent. Do you prefer city life or countryside?
city life, city life,
What's your favorite holiday destination?
Ghana,
Ghana. And are you a cat person or dog person?
cat.
You like cats over dogs?
100%.
Fantastic. What's the one gadget you can't live without?
I would say my Apple Watch.
I probably have to agree with you. So much so I sleep with it just so that I can monitor my sleeping patterns. That's how seriously I keep my Apple Watch.
Actually tells you so much about yourself. So.
Things you never knew. Do you prefer movies or TV shows?
Movies,
What's your favorite movie?
Transformers.
Transformers. What's your favorite genre of music?
I like piano, just piano without any vocals on it, really, like classic ones.
Okay. And genre of music, type of music you listen to? Classical music, R&B, hip hop,
Yeah, I would say actually gospel.
gospel. Fantastic.
Yeah, I do listen to that a lot.
Fantastic. And are you more of a morning workout person or evening workout person?
I would say evenings.
Evening. Fantastic. Giuseppe, once again, welcome to the podcast. Now, before we go into your journey, do you want to tell people who you are and a little bit about your business?
Yeah, and let me start with I'm a very simple man, born in Italy, and grew up in Italy until my early 20s. And in Italy, I used to play basketball, a semi-pro basketball. And during that time, I was able to get into the first team. From there, at some point, things were not really going as much as I wanted because I wanted to be, a fully pro basketball player. But life goes on its own lane. So from there, I moved to the UK, pretty much with starting from zero. And from there, because I couldn't play basketball, I decided to keep studying, And through studies, that is where actually the business journey started. And to add to that, I'm the CEO of Gusto Snacks, and Gusto Snacks is an award-winning brand on a mission to change consumer habits for the better whilst reducing food waste. I know we'll dip a bit into that at some point. But yeah, getting here in the UK, I saw all the opportunities that were around me, and I realized that okay, this is a one lifetime opportunity for me. Because in Italy, I would have never had this sort of opportunity. So that is where it really motivated me to push myself, and yeah, I'm really talking about my journey.
Fantastic. So to our listeners out there, for those of us that don't know, Gusto Snack, you see it in some of our high street shop. Could you just tell us where exactly some of our audience would find your snack?
Yeah, so you can find them in WA, also at the airports, WA Smith airports, mostly Heathrow airports. That is where you find our snacks, but also WA Smith High Street in the high street stores, so across London. And also we are in Selfridges, Amazon. If you look for Gusto Snacks, we are the first fruit crepes that will appear. Or if you just simply write fruit crepes, will appear on Amazon. We also sell in over 50 offices. So Google, Bloomsburg, and HSBC, all of this, office spaces, getting some, our healthy snacks to the professionals. And yeah, and then now we are also having different conversation with some of the high street stores. Hopefully, at some point I can mention them, but since things have not been signed on paper, it's better I don't mention anything.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. In fact, we're going to talk on some of those points a little later on. I have some number of clients who've actually entered the likes of Tesco's and Sainsbury's, and I know the rigors and the confidentialities that go into being placed in such a high street market. So, but we will ask you a few of those questions a little later on. I think the first question I'll ask you, your journey started off in Italy. You had a strong passion for reducing wasted food back in the days when you were in Italy. Can you share how your early days have sparked the ideas of Gusto Snack?
Yeah, so I would say in Italy, what got me into really being interested into food waste was I did my national service at some point. During the national service, I used to work with a lot of charities whereby we would go to supermarkets and take the food that supermarkets can actually sell and then give them to families in need. So during that time, that is why I realized also that there is so much waste going on. So when I come, and I didn't do anything with it in Italy, because to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about being an entrepreneur in Italy. I was just focused on my basketball career.
Yeah.
So once I came in the UK and I started studying, I was studying product design. And product design is also about, researching the market, understanding the market, and then designing a product. So that is where, I thought, okay, I've been in this industry before. I've been in the, let's say upcycling industry before. Let me understand how I can get this going. So during a university project, I actually came up with the idea of, okay, why not initially I thought about turning the fruits into juices. And I started a previous business which was called Ooze Drinks. And the idea was to turn in, the food that would have otherwise been wasted into juices. So I went to visit farms, different, fruit traders. And at the end, I found out that, okay, there is a really big problem here that I can try and get something going. Everything started really until this person that I previously mentioned called Sean is a Nigerian. He actually came to my uni and he was just randomly walking around and saw my presentation. I was really very good in presenting, different projects and things like that. Although I didn't have a physical product, I was able really to tell the story and through presentations and things like that. So he was actually very impressed and he said, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in tech, but I love what you're doing. And I would love to help you start the journey. And I said, okay. So he actually took me to his office, showed me how to open a business account and all of these things. And he took me under his wings, taught me a lot of things. And Unfortunately, with Ooze drinks at some point, it wasn't working. One, probably because I didn't understand much of the food and drink market. So it was a big learning curve for me. And at some point in 2018, 2019, I had to, after 4 years, I had to close it down. But then I thought about the journey and how much this has taught me. It was a big learning curve for me. And that is when I said, okay, let's go for a second round. You know, it was a difficult decision because I knew how tough it is to run a business. But then I also realized that I can't just do this alone. My strengths, product design, manufacturing, and branding. I need a salesperson and someone who understand also, and also someone who understand a bit of finances. So that is when I met my current business partner. It's called Claudio. He is also a Italian Ghanaian.
Wow.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that we used to do our warehouse work together because we were working night shifts and doing day university.
Wow.
So we used to go to my uni and we used to work together. But we literally didn't talk about business until around 2019. He actually went to a different university at some point and we met again. And then he was talking about how he had seen me running a drink business. I said, listen, Claudio, this drink business is no more. It's gone. And at that time, I hadn't even, I really haven't, it was just initial stages, putting down ideas about the snack, about Gusto and things like. It didn't even have a name. So he said, Giuseppe, I would love to learn from you and understand a bit of this business journey because I want to start something on my own. And I said, look, I'm starting this new business. I know you are very good in sales and that is what you do as a job. Why don't we team up? I'm good in branding, design, and products. You are very good in business development and sales. Let's join together. And that is how everything started again from scratch. But this time it was different. I had much more experience, and I had also someone who had experience in another space that will really help the business flourish really.
Fantastic. Your mentor, Sean, what was his background and what would you say is the importance of, mentor and two, a business partner? So when we say business partner, for those of us that don't know, Claudio is the co-founder of Gusto's Snack. So the two things is, what was he doing? What is he doing now? Your mentor, and the importance of having a mentor and even co-founders as well.
I would say the mentor in the initial stages was very good. I mean, it's critical. For me, it was amazing because I didn't know anything about business. And for someone who was new in this country, having someone like Sean, teaching me to navigate the business world and especially opening, a business and also the consequences of opening a business. You have to file every year, all of these things. And also, understanding, okay, when is the right time to actually open the business? If it was me, I would have probably opened it immediately and then I had to deal with HMRC, and if you don't file, you get fined, all of these things. But also, the idea of, I think one thing that I really loved about his advice was, okay, write the business plan as you are going. Don't spend ages in building a massive business plan and then at the end of the day, nothing really, you don't know what is going to happen. So, our business plan was to, as we going, we are learning, we keep building it and keep refining it as we are going. So we really never had a total complete business plan. We had more of like an executive summary initially, a very short version of it, and then we kept on building the business plan as we are going. So for me, that's why I said I'm a very hands-on person. I like, just doing rather than sitting there and thinking ages about something, because you really learn as you are going, And I would say in terms of the business partner, for me, in my early days when I was running Ooze Drinks, I had other two business partners. Unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan and things got also sour between us. and we split up. That was also one of the big reasons why we couldn't really run the business.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned from there was also to find the right business partner and also set the grounds as soon as you are setting up a business with a business partner. Like you have to both understand your roles, understand who is doing what, who is
Yeah.
leading, who is the second person in charge. All of these things are, a bit uncomfortable as conversations to have, but they set the tone immediately. So with me and Claudio, we clicked immediately. We know where we were going. We know who is doing what we are doing, and that was very critical. And then on top of that, he also brought in another person who I would say is more of a financial advisor, really. And he works in Philip Morris. He's called Aubrey. He's very like corporate like,
Yeah.
and that is also something we needed. Someone who will bring in structure. Because me and Claudio, we are more entrepreneurs running, trying to make sales, trying to make marketing. It's a bit of a chaos,
Yeah.
you know, being an entrepreneur running here and there. But with Aubrey, he brought in that corporate aspect of building a business whereby everything is in place. If we have to file, we file on time. There is certain things you can't do in your business account. Don't mix business account with your personal account. All of
Absolutely.
these things. So I think, all the things I've mentioned were really critical for us to be able to, build a reputable business that is respected. And, when we went to investors, for example, they quickly understood, okay, these guys know what they are doing.
Fantastic. So there's 3 business partners. Was there 2 and just
There's
like an
two, there's
employee?
two at
What's
the
the
moment.
structure?
Yeah, there's two at the moment. So I have 2 business partners, and then obviously we have VC and an angel investor as well, and an institution as well that has invested. So let's say there is multiple people, but we are the ones who control mostly the business day to day.
What would you say life is like? We're talking about the early days, and I want to give a little bit to expand on that as well about specifically your fruit picking moments in Kent as well. And I want to find out some of the first steps that you took as well about the simple hydrator, which is quite an origin of a story as well. And so I want to just find out a little bit more on how you transitioned from Italy over to the UK. What are the differences? Are these opportunities afforded in Italy? Or do you find coming to the UK, there is more opportunities for people like you? You regarded yourself as a minority in the startup space. And what were some of these differences? Any challenges as well? You growing up in Italy as well? What were some of those challenges you faced?
This is an amazing question. I have a lot to say about this, but I'll keep it very short. So I would say that the opportunity, as soon as I came to the UK, and I will say this, I saw someone. Oh my God. Oh. Apologies. Did that
That's
come?
okay.
All right. So I would say the opportunities for me when I came to the UK, as soon as I saw the people driving buses, black people driving buses, I was very impressed.
Wow.
Or black people working in a bank. I was like, wow, this, I've never seen this. And that is how is it in Italy. There is like the opportunities for minorities is very limited. Also, in Italy, there isn't this entrepreneur, spirit that whereby everybody is trying to open a company and push themselves to do, to really to take the leap. There is a lot of businesses there, but they are mostly, family owned, old family owned, as they say, old money, family owned businesses.
Yeah.
So generational wealth, but opening a startup is very difficult. Also, the market is not favorable as it is here in the UK. The government doesn't really allow startups to flourish like that. So for me in Italy, I didn't even have the minds. I didn't even think about being an entrepreneur, even owning a company. It didn't even exist in my mind. I was just focused on playing back to the UK. And I will say this, I love Italy, but when it comes to racism, is tough. Like,
Wow.
it's very, very there. Like, they will let you know, that they don't like you. But
Wow.
again, when I was playing, but and one thing I would say also is that when you are doing something that they like, they take you as their own. And I was playing basketball.
Or something that you're good at as well, right?
Exactly. If you're good at something, then hey, you are Italian.
Yeah.
But if they don't see any quality or value that you bring in, there is no respect there. And
Yeah.
so growing up in Italy wasn't easy, and I would say there was also this difficulty in finding initially an identity because I'm Ghanaian and I'm Italian. So you are a bit in the middle of both,
Yeah.
you're trying to get accepted by the Italians, but at the same time you are Ghanaian and you would love to live in Ghana, but at the same time you live in Italy.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, that was a little bit of a difficulty for me because it's almost like you are not 100% of both, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and one thing I would say, I loved my career in terms of basketball since when I was 13. And I would say initially I wasn't that good, but I met a coach that really saw my potential in terms of playing basketball. And he
Yeah.
used to be so hard on me. And I used to ask him, one day I asked him, why are you so hard on me? And he sat me down and he said, listen, you are not like everybody else. I see you jumping and shooting the ball, although you don't show the skill sets right now, but the potential are amazing. And he was telling me how to, go outside when we are finished training and there is no training, go outside, train yourself. And that really changed my mindset.
Wow.
And when I came to the UK, I would say this is still the mindset that I have, you know, being able to work, even when, it gets tough, being able to have that mindset is almost like a sports person mindset. Never give up, keep training on your own, even when there is no people around. And
Absolutely.
and that is what really brought me up when I came to the UK. But I would say when I came to the UK, it was a culture shock. It was tough for me. I didn't understand. I thought I knew English, but the accent was the English. It was a bit of a difficulty in finding a job because I couldn't understand anything. The
Wow.
system was completely different. For 4 months, I didn't have any job. At some point, I almost even got homeless because I didn't have a job. What I brought with me was so small. I thought I would have enough. I didn't.
Yeah.
But then through some friends and also there was a community, a church that I joined. They helped me a lot as well. And through the right connection, I had my first job, which was in Tesco
Wow.
warehouse as a picker. And then that is when I also decided to also say, okay, since I'm doing night shifts, let me start studying in the day. Yeah.
Is that where you met Claudio?
Yeah, actually, Claudio was through few friends. And then I actually met him during uni times. But because there is this Ghanaian community, I knew some friends who connected, and he was around as well. And we started talking, and we understood that we actually, live close, and we go to the same university and started working together as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. So what was you started out a business, you've said, what was the hardest hurdle, would you say, in starting off Gusto Snack and getting it off the ground? Yes, at one point it was an idea, but actually get it going. What was the hardest challenge that you faced?
I think having the right supply chain was headache initially. We were looking for the right manufacturer, and we realized that in the UK there isn't many manufacturers of dried fruits. The UK imports so much of dried fruit, so we go into the farmers and saving the fruits and drying it at home ourselves was a starting point. Because I mean, we were able to go to our local markets to test the products here and there. That's fine. But then to scale up, to take the product into supermarkets was a completely different ballgame. We realized that, wow, we may not even, we may just not even never start because where are we finding the manufacturer? We spoke with different manufacturers. They said they can't do what we are trying to do because what we were trying to do was, turn the fruits into air dried fruit crepes with different type of flavors. Uh, and nobody wanted to do it for us. So fortunately, at some point, I think we spent about almost a year and a half looking for a manufacturer.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would say with funding, initially, I mean, we use a bit of our money here and there to buy the equipment and things like that, but then we were able to use the prototypes to pitch for competitions. So we actually raised about 20,000 in grants.
Wow.
And this is also a good thing because during my time with my previous business, I raised about 30,000 initially in grants. And I was so surprised to be able to still raise the funds because sometimes there is no second chance, you know.
Yeah.
But some of the companies were still, I mean, loved the fact that I was going again. And this time I was much more, I had more experience. So definitely less room for mistakes. And we were able initially to raise 20,000. And then in total, we got about 70,000 bootstrapping.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and that is when, you know, at some point we were almost giving up, but then we found the right manufacturer, but not in this country. We had someone actually told us, hey, go to Poland, go to Europe, because the UK gonna waste your time looking for a manufacturer who can do this product. So we actually went to Poland and then found a manufacturer there who was able to work with us in terms of finding the right farmers, finding the, you know, the right recipes and things like that. And a good thing also is that with them we were able to bring together everything, which is manufacturing, production, packaging, delivery, and that helped me and Claudio to be more of entrepreneurs. So
Wow.
rather than focusing on, you know, doing things that it would just waste our time, really.
Absolutely. So you found one company that was able to do all of the above.
Yeah, yeah. And they had also over 30 years of experience in the dry fruit industry. They have connection with the farmers. And for us, was very important about the sustainability aspect of the business. So they were showing us the different type of fruits that, you know, they can save and all of those things. You know, at the startup, you wish you can do everything, but it's tough to be able to do everything, especially when it comes to sustainability. Saving the fruit, going to the farm to save the fruit is also another issue. You have to have a whole team to be able to support you in all of these things.
Yeah.
So since we have them that take care of this, is really, you know, it was a turning point for us.
What makes Gusto unique? Now, I introduced Gusto as providing healthy snacks, right? And the fact that you were very particular in your suppliers means that there is a particular type of ingredients you require. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and why it makes Gusto different from the rest of the competing market?
So I would say we were looking for a high quality product. We wanted to make it as crunchy as possible. Because the idea for us is that when we also, apart from the sustainability side, when we were shopping around, we also realized how boring and, you know, outdated the dry fruits market was. If you go into your local supermarket, you see that even in Tesco, the dry fruit section is very outdated. There is a lot of chewy snacks,
Yeah.
low quality, you know, dried fruits full of preservatives, sulfite, which is not really great for our health. So we thought, okay, why don't we, you know, do something that is healthy, but also that we can mimic the potato crisps. When you look at potato crisps, it's full of oil, but at the same time, it is so innovative. They have so many flavors. The section is so you know, colored. There is so much going on. But the quality of the product is so crunchy that people keep and delicious that people keep going back to it. So why can't we get something healthy and mimic the crunchiness of the potato crisps and add all the innovative flavors, but without the downside, which is a lot of salt, a lot of oil, and all of that stuff. So the manufacturer we found actually was able to, they have a patented technology that mimic the crunchiness of the potato crisps. So our snacks are very crunchy. And also they are able to add all of these different flavors. So for example, we just launched apple crisps with chili, which
Wow.
is going crazy, you know, and we have apple crisps with chocolate, which during Easter, it was one of the best selling products on Amazon.
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
So that is how what makes us different. And most of the buyers, they do realize that, wow, this is the high quality product. And that is how we stand out.
Fantastic. Now I'm new to or I have very or no knowledge at all. Is it that the crispier your snacks are, the more healthy it is, provided there's not too much oil? Explain that to me.
So, I mean, I would say even the ones that are fried, they are very crispy. But the difference between us is that the fried products, many of the nutrients just go away, to be honest. When you fry the product, you are literally frying the whole aspect of the
Yeah.
snack. But our products are air dried, so that means we don't use heat. It's more of like air, and the technology that is used allow all the nutrients to be preserved.
Wow.
So that is one a great aspect of our products. Yeah, and there is also people who are doing baked as well, but it's very much to do with heat. Although it's better than fried, but at the same time, our product still is much more higher value.
Fantastic. Funding is a massive challenge for entrepreneurs, and less than 2% of funding goes to Black founders. How did you overcome those odds and secure the support of Gusto Snap?
Yeah, that's a great point. It was a very tough journey. We spent about, I would say, a more than 1 year, almost 2 years, trying to raise our pre-seed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very tough one.
Had you already gotten the grants by this point? So you've already received the 20K grants?
Yeah, we got 20K grants, and then also we also got a loan to be able to support our growth. And we were very careful in how we were spending our money because we knew it was a very long journey, and we had to get to a point where we can say, okay, now we need VC money or angel investors. We have to convince people about our growth. So
Yeah.
I think we didn't raise for about 5 years, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were not paying ourselves, so we were doing our part-time jobs. So a
Wow.
lot of sacrifices. I would say a lot of brokenness, and being we it was tough because obviously you have to dedicate your full time to the business,
Yeah.
and you are not getting any financial compensation, but at the same time you are also trying to work. So it was tough for us, but at the same time we knew, okay, the things we were doing were working, so that was a motivation for us to be able to, keep doing our part-time job, whether it's night shift and in the day, doing good stuff.
Yeah.
And then at some point we started growing, or, continuously month to month. And we said, okay, this is the right time, because at some point you don't want to get to the peak and then there is no growth. So let's use this opportunity to approach a VC. And we approached a VC multiple ones. We got rejected many times, and we contacted like thousands of
Wow.
companies. But there was one particular VC that actually we spoke to them the year before. Unfortunately, they couldn't invest it in us at that time, but they told us, okay, you just come back once you see some growth. And as soon as we were in the right position, we went straight back to them, and it was just the perfect time for them. And they said,
Wow.
okay, they would love to invest, but only if another investor comes along. So that is how we also got our angel investor, who we were speaking with her for about, she was following our journey for about, yeah, 2 3 years.
Wow.
We never asked her for money. It wasn't a transactional, we didn't make it transactional really. We wanted really to build that connection initially, honest connection with her, just
Yeah.
get her advice. She was the previous CEO of Hops.
Of hops. What was hops?
There is fashion brand.
Oh, yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She was the previous CEO, and so a lot of advice about business. She wasn't in our food, and she was very honest. We loved connected with her because she was very honest about the fact that she need us to find someone who will give us advice about the food industry, because she could be an investor one day, but she just need that assurance that we have the right guidance. So
Yes.
we find this VC that actually they have invested in many food brands, and they are very, they have the ecosystem of experts and knowledge about the food industry. So that is what also convinced her. So it was a win-win situation for us that moment, and they all invested.
That's amazing. So the angel investor, she didn't invest money into the business, but you exchanged her advice.
So initially she did it.
Okay. But you still brought her on as an investor.
Yeah, she later on she invested. So
Okay.
for 3 years she didn't invest. It was more of we connected with her understanding who we are as founders.
Yeah.
Really connecting on a personal level as well.
Okay.
We have different meetings with her, and not often, but she will always like to know our progress, our personal life. She was very conscious about, guys, you have to take care of yourselves. If you don't take care of yourself, how can you run a business? So she was very conscious about that. And but then we never really discussed about funding until we got to the right point, and we told that, look, here we are now. You have followed our journey so far, and we would love you to join us and invest. And she was very honest that she will invest, but she doesn't have knowledge about the food industry. But she will invest, and she will love us to have somebody who can guide us through the food industry. And fortunately, there was this VC that came in.
That's fantastic. Where do you find these VCs and angel investors? How did you come about them? How did you encounter them?
So we were literally doing a lot of, obviously we had a bit of connections around networking, connecting with different people on LinkedIn, especially going on LinkedIn, writing, impact investors, for example, who are investing in, companies that are doing good to the planet, or for example, just writing invest food and drink beverage investors. And we will find a list of people. We will use different tools to extract their names, and then we will start messaging them. That's how it works. You keep messaging them, and if anybody is interested, we had a lot of people that will just read and not even come back. We had other people that will read and will want to know more about us, and maybe during the conversation they'll be like, okay, at this stage, we don't think we can invest, and one good thing we were doing was that every time we would speak to someone that maybe is not interested, we'll tell them, do we know anybody that may be interested? And they would just, say, okay, I will do some introductions for you. Some of them don't, but many of them did, and that kept on building our list of investors. And then I remember we did an accelerator program, and the accelerator program actually connected us to investors. During our final day, we had to pitch. A lot of investors came in, and that is when we connected with the VC that invested in us. But at that time, they didn't want to invest, and then we went back to them. So, I would say a chain of connections.
Fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
No.
One of the things I would say to you as well is competing in a healthy snack industry is no small feat at all. How did you stand out from the competition in the market, especially with limited resources? Now, one of the things I'll say is that I've seen you guys, and this is one of the things that's really caught my attention with you guys, is some of your creative marketing. I love it. I've seen you outside Selfridges, is it Liverpool Street, holding up placards. I think most recently, I think you posted something about this is the day in December or November where the most breakups happen. So you're going to show people love by giving them a snack or something along those lines. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was during Valentine. So
wow.
And everybody, the idea was that Valentine, everybody gives, all of these chocolates, and it's all about love. But to be honest, most of the people break up as well, And so we thought, let's just give some snacks for your breakups moments and, for your sad times.
Yeah.
And I think it was fun because also there was a tissue paper company that saw us and wanted to join. So we co-branded the idea, and then that was a good thing because also their customers then saw it, and they also started buying our product.
That's
So
amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So apart from things like this, is there anything else that you do to stand out from the competition?
yeah, so I think for us really is to try and be fun with the marketing, and especially when it comes to pitching to buyers, the buyers in store, and how you're gonna approach them, how you're gonna stand out, because there is a lot of competition in the stores. For us, we always want to show that we are very innovative. We can drive customers to come to you, and get attention really, and that is what the supermarket likes. So often we even other marketers activities is, especially I think one that is less fun but very useful is the data that we gather every time we go and do sampling, for example. We use the opportunity to get people to scan our products, to give their reviews, very simple ways of and very playful ways of getting people to also understand about the issue of food waste. And through that, we are able also to gather data about how, if they will buy our product in the stores. For
Yeah.
example, one thing we will do is if a buyer tells us, look, we don't think this product is a fit for our customers, we will say, well, how do you know? You haven't tested it. So what we will do is we'll go in front of the supermarket, get their customers to try our product, scan our product, and give us the feedback, and we will send it to them. Look, we have 300, 400 people that want the product in your shops. And on top of that, we have their emails. So once we will show maybe the marketing activities we are going to do once we launch in the store. So for example, okay, we have these 400 customers. As soon as we launch in your store, we are sending them emails that, hey, we are in Co-op, or we are, in Tesco, we are in this. Come and buy the product. And that has been very beneficial for us. I would say for example, launching in Selfridges was a bit difficult because initially we went with two products. They said,
So you launched in Sainsbury's originally?
no. I would say I'm gonna say Selfridges.
Or Selfridges?
Yeah,
So are you still in Selfridges now?
yeah, we are.
Okay.
We are. Yeah. When we were launching in Selfridges, for example, it was a bit different because that was actually our first high street store, and they just wanted more products. Imagine we have just launched two products in the market, and they were saying, no, we don't want you guys because unfortunately we need more product to see which one works better.
Yeah.
So we had to scrap for money and run quickly to our manufacturer and beg them to produce the snacks, and then we will pay after.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they agreed because we said Selfridges wants,
Yeah,
700
committed to a number.
And they agreed, and then that is how we started, and Selfridges accepted. But it took us 1 year and something to be able to get into Selfridges. It was a no, 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 and then at some point, it got in, and then we almost got into trouble doing the campaign in front of their store. Actually,
No way.
yeah,
So did you not notify them? What happened?
So the idea is that one thing we did is that we said, look, let's just go with it because we don't know if these guys will say yes or no. And if they say no, we are losing an amazing opportunity to actually oversell. So I said, let's go ahead with it. Let's see what happens. We are a startup. Sometimes you get away with certain things. So we just did it, and we saw that an email from their director came in our inbox, and they were questioning, oh, but why did we do this? And Selfridges has a certain brand, guidelines, and we are holding cardboard and things like that. But then they also realized that the thing was going viral, and at some point they left it because we sold out the first week.
Yeah.
As soon as we launched it, and they came back quickly reordering. So they were even starting to like it, to share it, and things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a good one. But yeah, sometimes you just have to, take the leap and do what you have to do.
All marketing is good marketing. Do you know what I really love about your story? And I think it's a wake up call for many entrepreneurs out there. It's just how resilient you must be. Honestly, some of the stories you've said resonates with me and starting off my businesses and my business journey. You mentioned 5 years where you weren't really generating any income. you're working part-time, there was challenges here and there, you were chasing Selfridges for over a year. Some people would chase someone like Sainsbury's, not hear anything after a week and become somewhat disappointed. And so I think that whilst the fruits or the potential fruits of entrepreneurship are without limits, I think it's very important that people going into business actually are aware of the resilience needed to actually scale a business. You're going to get lots of humps in the road, but if you do overcome it, I'm telling you, the rewards are absolutely great.
That is so true. That's a very good point. Great that you mentioned that, because so many people don't understand how tough it is to run a business. You know, everybody wants to run a business, but then it's not fun. It's not fun, and it takes you to love what you are doing. And I always say this. They always ask me which advice you give to a new entrepreneur. I'll say, do you love what you are doing, or you just want to get in because you want to be the next billionaire or the next Elon Musk or the next, Bill Gates? It's not about the money. Like the journey, initially, you're not going to see money at all, and there will be times where you're going to question about your existence, for me, I am a product designer and I love seeing my product being snacked by people. That is all matters for me. Like, this is one thing that even when I was pitching to investors, I was mentioning that for me, is the satisfaction of seeing my products on shelves and, solving problems about the product. It's just, something that I love doing. So it's almost, what I would say, it almost beat at the time, it was beating the anger. I was enjoying doing that. So even when it gets tough, I know that, okay, what I'm doing is working. And, and there is some sort of like relief in terms of, I'm achieving my primary goal, which is being a product designer. And if the money comes, that's a bonus. But you have to understand the money is gonna come for a very long time. Yeah.
I love that, honestly. And your journey, I think it's so inspiring. One of the things we try to do in this podcast is inspire and educate and help to build people whilst they go into business as well. One of the things I would ask you as well, very quickly, is going from the kitchen into large scale production. What were some of the logistical challenges you would have faced and how did you overcome it?
So I would say going from the kitchen to production is a completely ball game. So once you try in your own kitchen and you have a product, unfortunately, it's going to be different when you go in manufacturing. And that is because the amount of quantity and the material that is being used is not going to taste the same. Is also the process of how you're going to put the ingredients on the product. For example, in our case, let's say you are using a certain amount of chili. You have to try and get the right amount of chili to go on the product. It tastes the same. In fact, the product in your kitchen, I would say, is not going to taste the same, but you always try to get close to it as much as possible. So it's not going to be the same product, it's not going to be the same taste, but you get close to it as much as possible and scale it up.
Yeah.
So some people think, okay, I've created something in my kitchen. I'm just thinking it's going to be the same. Yeah, it's not. And that is where the difficulties comes in, because at times it's not working. It's just not working. And for example, when we created our apple crisps with coconut, we had coconut flakes on it at home. And that is one thing that we loved about the product, that it didn't just have coconuts on it. But we went to manufacturing and the coconut flakes kept on falling from the crisps.
Yeah.
So it was a big problem for us. It was a big deal. So we had to find a different way to deal with it, and we had to ditch the flakes instead and just go with coconut water, really. And that is what changed the product. But then it was still good for us. It was still close enough. But that detail of having the flakes, we realized that on a much more higher scale and using machine is just not viable.
That's amazing. The reason I asked you that question, I find a lot of startups that have experienced this, and just to give the audience, the public, some kind of idea, it's like having an auntie or even your mom that can cook exceptionally well for the family, which has 5 people in the family, and then somebody calls that person because they're a good cook and say, listen, I'm having a party next week for 1,000 people. Do you think you'd be able to cook? It's totally different.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And if you don't have the experience, that nice tasting food from home, it's not gonna taste so. Just to give the audience some kind of background into the question
That's
that
what you say. When it comes to also the big, you're going to use a massive pot.
yeah,
And the flavors and everything is going to change. It's not going to be the same. So that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy.
fantastic, fantastic. And what you've mentioned quite a few things now, a few setbacks that you've had initially starting off a company and having other founders that you fell out with, discovering that now it's important for you to clearly stipulate what everybody's role is. You've had issues from finding investors and suppliers. My question to you is, looking back, what would you say were your biggest challenges from your experience? You've mentioned quite a few, but what would you say is your biggest challenge you've had? Sorry, and on top of that, what would you have done differently? So you've now
Yeah.
been in business for a while. If you had the opportunity to start back again, what lessons or what would you have done differently from the lessons you've learned?
Yeah, I would say definitely the co-founders was one of my biggest lessons because these were friends as well, were my friends. They became friends, we became family, and obviously falling out meant not talking to them anymore. Unfortunately, it was that bad. And I would say I would have done things completely differently at the time. I had my own reasons for moving away from them. But at the same time, I would say, probably lack of experience in managing the situation and also understanding that you can't really do it alone.
Yeah,
And probably maybe sitting down and understanding our skill sets and really and thinking about it right now, we were so disorganized, to be honest. There was not really any sort of like structure in what we were doing. We thought, whatever we were doing at some point, things will fall in place, but it wasn't like that. Another thing too that I would say is, and it's true at this point, is I think finding a work that would allow me to keep doing my first business, like to keep being, you know, I would say planning myself financially as well. Because it was tough when I started the business because I thought, I would just be flying and funds would just come in immediately. We raised, okay, 30,000 in grants, but they came very,
it
uh,
goes quickly.
periodically. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it
it
just
goes
was
very quickly.
very quickly.
Yeah,
And I would say I've done many jobs, from cleaning to to warehousing to even working in a landfill. Like I've done so many, but
wow.
I think maybe for me, looking back before starting even a business, I would have said, okay, maybe it's best for me to find something that is stable, even if it's in the night shift, that would allow me to still be in financially, okay.
Yeah,
Employing. Because then what would happen is that I change so many jobs because sometimes I'll be working in the day, working in the night, but then, I need to go and pitch and I have to call sick and I'll be calling so many sicks at work and I'll get fired. And then, I don't have enough money to do this, to do that, and the company is not paying you. That also is not healthy. So I
yeah.
would say looking back, as an entrepreneur, it's good to start, the journey, but make sure that financially you understand where you are. That is also very important. And be honest with yourself, really.
So what would you have done differently in the sense of would you have worked before starting off to save quite a bit of money? Would you have had a part-time that was convenient for your lifestyle? Now we have the uprise of a lot of remote working. What specifically would you do different? Because you've mentioned planning your finances, but how would you have done it now?
Yeah, definitely working, saving for the journey so that you know that definitely once you have, you have a cushion.
Yeah,
And also at the same time, if you switch to part-time, then you still know that at least you are not completely with nothing, you have something going on. And that is something I learned with my second, with Gusto Snacks. We were not really earning anything when we started, but I was still working, saving, and we were still winning the grants. and I was pushing because I knew that it was going to be a very long journey. Hard times are still there, definitely, but then they are not as hard as the first business. So definitely having a cushion. And if you want to start, maybe even if you are doing your 9 to 5, there is your day off. You have your day off, which you can work on your business as in the beginning, because initially you have to understand the market. If what you are doing fits, is market fit, and
Market
two,
fit, yeah.
exactly, and two, at the same time, what I would say is also, when you come back from work, you want a business, you hustle, you don't go and sleep, you don't go and watch your TV series, you cut so many things off, and then you focus on the business. Even 2 hours or 3 hours a day of just researching on your startup, and that's a progress.
Goes a
You
long way.
put that one together in a year, you have done so much
It
progress. So,
compounds. It com-
so I would say that is what I would have done differently.
That's amazing. Honestly, I love your story. I think that we've spoken about your journey. Very briefly, how has the journey shaped you as a person, both professionally and personally?
I would say I'm an introvert person. I never liked speaking. I always, very quiet, never loved being among people.
Was that the case when you were in Italy, when you could
Yeah,
speak the language fluently, or when you came to the UK, couldn't speak it, so you kind of shy away from
I
conversations?
was already like this naturally.
Oh
Like,
wow,
I never liked being among people. Like, I would say my mom kept on telling me, oh, my mom will always tell to her friend, oh, my son is so quiet, he's so, he doesn't like problem. In fact, if you talk to me, I will know I'm so boring. I will not even talk much because I don't, I'm even scared to say the wrong stuff.
yeah,
So I was a very quiet person, and even going out, rarely. I was just
well,
playing basketball and going home, playing
yeah,
basketball. And I would say that in some way was difficult when I started business, because then I had to now, I'm doing business. You can't just be quiet and
you can't.
close yourself. Mouth that doesn't speak doesn't get fed, as they say. I had to push myself and learn it. And I realized that, okay, I have also anxiety, because when I get into the public, I have so much anxiety that if I don't practice properly, I would just fumble.
Yeah,
I would just, I wouldn't be able to speak. And it happened to me in my first speech. I went in front of so many people, I couldn't talk. It was so embarrassing. But then that taught me, how to plan myself before every speaking event, being able to learn how to speak and learn how to, also say the right things at
yeah.
the right time. And that really helped me. To be honest, I'm still the person I am as introvert. Right now I'm married. I'm still the same person, to be honest. I'm not someone who like going too much around, let's say parties or things like that. But at the same time, I'm not shy anymore in going out there to, showing my
Yeah,
brand. When it comes to my brand, I'll talk so much about it.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is one thing that I love. So still I am the way I am. It didn't completely change me as a person, but it changed me in terms of as an entrepreneur.
yeah.
You know. So I have two sides of Giuseppe, really. The entrepreneur and the normal citizen.
I love that. And so, just to build up on that as well, what habits or mindsets have you developed as well? Are there any habits in business or mindset you've had to develop to become successful?
So I would say, first of all, likewise business, you have to be organized with your own life, be consistent with things. I've learned how to be so much for example, I'm a religious person, and I've been so consistent with, reading my Bible, so consistent with, going to church, getting involved, so consistent also with my gym and my health as well as a person. I started cutting out, every sort of like fizzy drinks. I've been drinking just water for the past, I don't know how long. And
Wow.
being so consistent with certain things in my personal life that I've realized that it's also translating in
Yeah,
business, because if there is certain things you are not doing, there is this thing that they if you wake up, you want to change the world, but you are not even doing your own bed to start with. What are you going to change when you can't do your own bed? You know, you start from your bed, and then you can say, okay, I can change other things, you know,
I love
out
that.
there. So that is something I've learned so much. And obviously, we all have things we are improving, but at the same time, there is certain things I've been able to be consistent with. And I would say with business is the same thing. If you are not consistent with it, unfortunately, you know, it is not gonna work. And especially in the food industry, buyers are not, but there is, you can imagine there is thousands of brands out there. Startups, every day there is a new startup. There is nothing new under the sun. And thousands of people are contacting a buyer. Do you really think that the email you sent to the buyer, he has read it? Probably he has chucked it in the bin, you know? But the consistency of keep sending emails to them every week, even if it's one email, you know, it makes them remind, you know, it makes them see that, okay, these guys are actually still alive, to be honest, you know. And at some point, you just realize they will come back to you. At times, it takes 6 months to talk to find a buyer. So you have to keep being consistent. Getting tired is not an option when it comes to these things.
I love that. In one word, what should be your biggest sacrifice? You've mentioned quite a lot. You've mentioned quite a lot. What would you say has been your biggest sacrifice for the success of Gusto, and how have you balanced that with the vision and future of
Yeah,
Gusto?
I would say probably, you know, not accepting. There was a job that I found about being um, a marketing director for a very known company. And at that point, I had to choose between dedicating my fully commitment to that company or just, you know, getting Gusto going. And I'm not going to lie, at that time, I needed the cash. You know,
Yeah,
I would, and being a director of a company like that, it was, you know, a dream for everybody. But I said, you know what? I've started this business. I've put in so much sweat in it, and I see where it's going. So I'll bet on myself, and I didn't take it. And I'm glad I didn't because, you know, right now where we are is, I love where we are. We have raised funding, and, you know, I'm just happy that I didn't at that time. But it was very, very painful at the time. And you can imagine also being at that.
yeah.
I had my 1 year old, yeah, a year ago, basically. So you can
Congrats.
imagine having my partner being pregnant and we are going through a different stage of life. And I have such a big opportunity and I still haven't raised funding for my own startup. So to
Yeah,
reject it is a different ball game, you know. But again, like I said, you know, for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand and there is sacrifices you're gonna do on the way. And I will say having a supportive system around you is also crucial
yeah.
because if your partner doesn't understand where you're going with being an entrepreneur, it's tough.
I was going to ask that. How did she take it? How has she been supportive?
Mhm.
Two questions I want to ask
Yeah,
actually, and I hope you've got a bit more time. We're going to end.
100%.
Okay.
I have time.
So a few more questions, right?
Mhm.
Your support system, have you found it would have been easy for your wife? Because the truth is, you're the only one that has the vision. As in, no matter how much you explain it to them, yes, they're in support of you, but
Yeah.
only you can see it, right?
So,
So how did you carry her along? And then how has your faith
mhm, mhm.
impacted your business journey? You've mentioned your faith now about
Yeah.
3 times. Where you came from Italy, you had a support system in church.
Well,
But then you mentioned that church is so important to you as well. So talk us through as well your support from your missus, and then also the support or the place that faith has played in the build up of your business.
so when it comes to my partner, it's obviously the one thing I loved is that she kinda is she's almost like me, a bit crazy when it comes to taking a risk. So because she used to also have her own startup, so she knew a bit of the how things are going really. She
Yeah,
kinda understood it.
she
But
understands.
again, when life is you have a turning point in life where you have a little one coming in, things change,
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, that time was obviously was a hard time for both of us in terms of, we having a little one coming, we are all excited, but at the same time very scared of the future of, we all want to be good parents, being able to provide for our kids. So definitely some challenges there, but a good thing is that she always knew, where I'm coming from, and she understood also the fact that okay, if you have, you are someone who has already raised some grants here and there, not everybody is able to do that. So she really gave me a full support, even through the challenges. We all have our, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it because we all have our own challenges, to be honest,
Yeah.
challenges were there. But at the same time, I would say, she understood where I'm going with this. And also the fact that I was very focused. I wasn't someone who is just, okay, I will do the business today and tomorrow, oh, I'm not doing it. Like I was 100% on it every single day, you know. So she knew where I was going. And also my faith. That is, I would say, 90% of the
Wow.
motivation for me. I would say I'm a minister in church right now as well.
Wow.
So the dedication has been consistent. Like for me, that is my hope. So I always look at God as, someone I can hang on to. So
Strength. Yeah.
yeah, so that is something I never took for granted. And I always use that an opportunity, to tell people, listen, if you are a Christian out there, you can't just play games with this. That is something. It's not negotiable. Something you have to keep on hanging on. So I would say, yeah, being a Christian for me, 90% is my motivation. The rest is the business. That's why I don't really, when it comes to difficulties, it's almost like it doesn't hit me as hard because I don't rely on the business. I rely on my faith and also on the fact that, I love being a product designer and an entrepreneur. All of these things don't bring in other factors that if they are not there, as I've mentioned, money is not going to be there for a very long time. So you have to be able to have motivation in other things.
Absolutely. I love that. That's so inspiring.
Mhm.
Um, you've set my next question is about the future now of Gusto and the vision that you have for Gusto in the next 5, 10 years or so. Now you've set ambitious goals like saving 60,000 tons of fruits
Mhm.
and improving 1 million diets.
Mhm.
What strategies are in place to make those goals a reality?
So, I mean, for us, saving the food, definitely there is a lot of it going on, farm level. And for us, so far we have saved about 70,000 units of fruit, which is far away from where we want to be. We're talking about tons, but at the same time, when you compare it to tons, so it's around 4 to 6 tons. So it's far away from the 60,000 tons. But at the same time, we have also understood what is required for us to be able to get there. For
Yeah.
example, right now, our products, there is only 15% of wonky fruits that we are able to get in each product. So that has made us also to understand the challenges for us to be able to get that. We need a whole team, a whole division of research that dedicate themselves just on the rescuing and negotiating with farmers and understanding what fruits are working and not on the farm level. And so these are things that we know that we can achieve, but we scale. And also in terms of scaling up as a company, we have already started. We launched in Germany this year, and we have already seen early traction. We are also talking with already some VCs in Germany and other supermarket, the leading supermarket. And next year too, we have a trip in Belgium and the Netherlands. We want to try and really start growing slowly. And obviously, ultimately, the biggest market out there for everybody is the USA,
Yeah.
you know. And but we want to have the right foundation first and go close to, do the easier things for now, which is sorting out our supply chain, sustainability, have a, robust in terms of, a business, a system in place that once we go to the USA, we can then, be strong as a brand to compete. Because the USA, if you go there without the right, the right equipment and the structure, you waste so much money.
Absolutely. I love that. And in terms of scaling, what kind of legacy do you want Gusto to leave behind, and how do you want to be remembered as an entrepreneur?
So I would say definitely one value that I would love is, first of all, being kind. That's the culture I would love in my business. People really helping each other, supporting, doing more with less as well. Because from where me and Claudio especially come from, we really came with nothing, and we were able to achieve so much with less. So this is the sort of culture we would love our business to have, and also being kind with each other, because me and Claudio are business partners, but also we are very conscious that we are humans. We are able to work together, and that is why as business partners we click so well, because we are able to also talk about our mental health. When he's going through struggle, I talk to him, he talks to me. We have a very honest culture in Gusto Snacks. And that also allow us to criticize each other without getting offended.
No offended.
There is no offense when it comes to correcting each other, because we all want to hold each other accountable without even crossing any line. It's more about the business rather than personal. And then when we have to be friends, we are friends. So there is time to being friends and being humans, and there is time to push and being, entrepreneurs. So that is what I love really about, building up Gusto and setting up all of these things and boundaries, and being able to understand what works and doesn't at this stage is just the perfect time for it, because then all you have to do at some point is scale it up to those ones that are coming in.
I love that. I think that there's, in terms of startup, new entrepreneurs coming to the market, I think what this podcast today has really introduced is the need to be resilient, the need not to be money driven.
Yeah.
Honestly, and one of the things I'll say to you is, I'll ask you is that, what would you say is your biggest purpose in life? Because ultimately it's your purpose that's giving drive to what you're doing. If you don't have if you're not purposeful, you're not passionate. What I realize with most entrepreneurs is that at the first storm, they fall. And what keeps people going is a purpose-driven mindset, a passion for what they're doing. I think all of those things you've mentioned here, you've mentioned you love product designing, you love working with products. What are some advice you can give to our audience about being purpose-driven, and that gives you that inner fortitude to go on even at when you're faced with challenges?
So I would say, and again, I will mention my faith. I personally want to be able to get to a place where I can influence, the right way our communities and people, especially the fact that, even using my own faith as a way to inspire others, and especially in this country. When I came into the UK, absolutely with nothing, but then I could see these young people having so much opportunity, and they just wasting it, in the streets, getting into the wrong gangs and, and violence and so much going on. And for me, I'm always like, if I can have so much influence, can I do with my influence as a business person? And that is to really change these young people and their minds, and, inspire people. And it's not just, just to get them to just start a business, but when you're an influential person, everybody listens to you.
Yeah.
So I want to use my own influence for good,
Yeah.
And also when it comes to products, really do good to the planet, have a product that does good to the planet, and also, to benefit really society. That's my goal. So when so many challenges are just coming my way, I also think about this. Look, there's a purpose here that I'm fulfilling even now. Last week, I'm even going to speak to a young group of people, and I've already started. I don't want to wait until, hey, because you never know. It's an entrepreneur journey.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So the main thing is, if you have a purpose, as much as you are also building the business, also start that and, and push it as much as you can in connection with the business you are doing.
Fantastic, fantastic. And once again, it's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you, Giuseppe. Honestly,
Thank you for having
been so insightful. You've been great on this podcast. For those of us, as we discussed, please to follow Giuseppe. Where can people find you, or really your product? We know it's in WH Smith, where in Selfridges, and we've been informed that there's still a few in the pipeline of where the product will be found. So, if you just like to tell the people before we round up where we can find some of your
so
product.
basically on Amazon, if you type in Gusto Snacks, so Gusto Snacks, it will come up on Amazon. Amazon is our biggest market because we provide them as wholesale. And all we do is, we do the marketing for them, but they buy from us in bulk. And then you can also go on our website, buy directly. So that is www.snack. That is NACK snack gusto, GUSTO.com. So www.snackgusto.com. You can buy our products from there. And then you can follow me. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Giuseppe Baidoo. We are on Instagram as well, but we are still working on that. But yeah, Instagram too, we are there. So there is so many of the social media platforms. We are doing each one step by step.
Absolutely. Giuseppe, I want to ask one last question. I don't know if it's tricky. If I'm intruding here, as a business now, what would you say, or what are you turning over now, and what do you plan to do in the next year and 5 years from now?
So, I mean, last year we generated about 70,000 in revenue. What we are planning this year, we want to be able to generate about 400,000. And this is our official second year, starting from, having raised funding.
Yeah.
So let's say first is 70,000, second year, looking at the pipeline, we are aiming to hit at least 400,000 in revenue. But we are looking to hit at least being able to capture 1% of the snack market. So the snack market is worth about 4 billion, and capture at least 1% of this market by 2028. That will give us 12 million in revenue.
Wow.
And being able to generate about, I would say, close to 400,000 ish in profits. So we're still very small.
Fantastic.
At the same time, we still want to be realistic with it and not just say, hey, throw crazy numbers. It's a very tough journey. But once we hit profitability, then we know that the game really starts there to be able to scale up.
Absolutely. I love that. And once more, Babe, thank you so much for your, I said Baidoo, Giuseppe. I keep calling you by your last name, but I don't know why. Also, I keep saying gusto. You say gusto. Is it an Italian?
Yeah. It's Italian, yeah. Italian means taste.
Fantastic. Excellent. So once again, want to thank you. For those that are listening to us for the first time, or your regular subscriber, please do subscribe to all of our channels, YouTube, Spotify, like, subscribe as well on YouTube, and please share this content, especially for those that are aspiring, are in business and hoping to scale their business. Please do share this, right? So once again, want to thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care.
Bye.